And they thought they ought to make a record of it in case something happened. They knew they'd been in, all of it were Special Forces troops. They had been in military security long enough to know that it's dangerous to break the rules. But they really wanted up, and they weren't allowed to transfer. They knew too much.
There are some colleagues there that believe that it should be brought out into the open, and that's what we're doing right now. We want to do it slowly and surely, and but I don't want to mention no names.
No names there, I was just wondering about
ever. I know who they are because I spent my leave with them, and we discussed it in detail, how it should be done, and who we should contact in this situation.
On their rest and recuperation, they could talk where they couldn't talk in the facility. And they just talked a lot. Yeah, they found out that the biologist was disenchanted too and approached him. And when they asked him what he could do for the project, to safeguard themselves by stashing information that could be released if anything happened to them, because they're all thinking they're vulnerable because of what they know and what they're doing. And he agreed to furnish documents and papers from his files when the time came to let some of it out.
Did any of that information get out with the 52 photos?
There was a statement on paper by the biologist along with some photos of the bodies in the tanks.
I would buy books. I bought a lot of books. Not a lot, but I'd send them home to my mom. I'd read them. When I was on leave, I'd go to the libraries and read what I could. I read Light Years at the library. I mean, I didn't really do too much when you're on leave because, I mean, you just, after a while it became kind of an obsession to find out what I'm really dealing with here because I kind of almost feared for my own safety. I mean, I don't want to walk away with some incredible, crazy-ass disease or anything like that, you know, I mean, plutonium poisoning. I've been discharged now for almost 7 weeks. I met them in Vegas. I met 2 of them in Vegas 3 weeks ago. And we discussed MUFON. And I did a little bit of calling and stuff, and we came to conclude that MUFON is an organization with way too many leaks. We thought it best to go with the private person that is not going to get greedy and ignorant and sit on the information until we can get it all out. We feel that a big organization like Center for UFO Studies and any nation abroad won't sit on it like we want them to. We need it to be sit on. I mean, we need it to be hidden away and sit on.
So what you guys are basically looking for us to do is to gather the information
and store it.
Think of more that we need so that we can put it together into a good, logical, solid format, and then eventually
a documentary or what it would be to bring out and basically to shove it right up the governments, you know, and to make them. Naturally, they're never going to admit it, right? But the other 4 people that are still currently working there will be willing to come and testify when the time comes. But they have to be ensured that they're going to be safe, because they do have families, and you know, we don't want to destroy their family structure or ruin their credibility. Like what had happened if we went to a big organization, it would be destroyed within hours. I mean,
have you ever been
I called MUFON. I did call MUFON. I didn't discharge myself. I just asked them what their procedure was for investigating government secrets, and they gave me some big old line of, and I just hung up on them. They don't. And we knew about Mr. Stevens here, and we know he's been in trouble before and on trumped up stuff, and we just decided that he'd be the best private person to investigate this for us and document it the best they can be documented.
He said we went to the library looking for somebody to approach for this purpose, and we rejected all of the names available to us down to yours. You didn't seem to be a member affiliated with any UFO organization. You were familiar with the APRO people, but you weren't an APRO member. You didn't. You seemed to be working alone, and less chance of you being infiltrated. So we decided to come to you with the pictures. This could all be published on a signal to raise the profile of the group in case any of them were harmed. They hoped that a public outcry would result, and this would leave that this would save some of them from internal executions. Such an outcry could lead to lawsuits against the government, subpoenas of evidence, and finally bringing down the house of cards of security over those important matters affecting us all, our society, and our world. That was probably pipe dreaming, because they're too secure for that to happen.
In terms of the guards conspiring together, did they do all of that on leave?
They could only communicate on leave.
And did Connor say...
Everything inside the facility was monitored and recorded. Did
Connor say how he was going to stay in contact once he was out and over here?
Through the one guy's girlfriend that he was seeing every week, every R&R in Vegas, his girlfriend would come see him.
Do you think they already figured out who she was? And
I'm sure they did, because when she lost contact, she was sure that her boyfriend had been picked up. If he was picked up, they would be aware of the others. And yeah, you've seen those little cameras. They just fit a roll of 112 film, and they managed to bring the camera in with a roll of film in it. And they even got another roll of film in later. Some of the guards were strict and some were not that strict, and so they were very careful about bringing the camera in and the film out. So they had, when they were out on R&R, had conspired to bring in one of those little tiny Instamatic 110 cameras that just fits the reel of film, and they watched the guards. They knew which guards, screening guards, when they came back through, were lax and which were strict. And they were calculating their schedules, and they started calculating the shift to figure out which guard might be on when they came back in. And they got the camera in on one of those calculated risks where the guards stripped it, searched them, everything, but didn't go through the pockets. And they got through okay with it. He didn't. They got it in, and they got it. It was on a package of film. And they got later they got a second package of film, but they used that and began to take pictures covertly at their level. These guys weren't all the same. He was a Marine Black SEAL. They weren't allowed to discuss their history, so he didn't know what the other history. They were all in a nondescript coverall uniform. They didn't know what other services they belonged to. They were not all Black Marines. He was a Black SEAL Marine. He didn't know what the others were because they weren't allowed to discuss it. But they discovered early on that the curator, the caretaker of the cylinders, a civilian biologist, was also had the same feelings about the overplayed security and wanted to get out of there. And he became one of their co-conspirators in getting out, and he had agreed to supply documents and photographs of the bodies in the cylinders. And the first deposit in the locker in the Las Vegas bus station included pictures of the bodies and material from the biologists also. And he said, the thing that sparked my interest, he said that there were hangar bays, small hangar bays at level 2, and there were craft in 7 of them. And he said that they had taken pictures of all the 7 craft, and that they took a picture of Dick Cheney standing in front of one with one of the lab people from above looking at it. He said, they want to say he wasn't there, we got proof. And I thought that
Secretary of Defense at the time.
he was Secretary of Defense at the time. Dick Cheney was, yeah. And he's in there looking at one of the craft in level 2.
Were you able to recognize any public figures that ever came through there of any kind?
Yes, I did. Would you like me to mention?
Yeah, let's mention a couple.
Okay, 3 of them we haven't identified yet, but I believe that they are high CIA from the science department. One of them I've seen his picture before. I've looked for it in libraries, but I haven't placed it yet.